Welcome to the Mediocre to Magnificent podcast. I'm your co-host, Braxton Matson, and your host, Lee A. Williams, and I just want to say thank you for tuning in because you are what makes this pure magnificence. You are the ripple effect of magnificence, and we are going to bring you a message that will give you insight, inspire you, motivate you, and challenge you to not only grow in your magnificence, but let you know that you are magnificent in everything you do. So stay tuned, you don't want to miss it. Man, we're here, man.
We are here.
How you doing?
Magnificent.
I know you're doing magnificent. I'm magnificent too.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that, man. Yeah.
So yeah, man.
Yeah, man. We're talking about it, man.
Oh, I'm excited for
I
this.
decided to talk about it, man.
I'm excited for this. I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
I just didn't know how soon.
Well, I'm thinking we need to title this one, man. Putting my movement to the test.
To the test. Oh, yeah. This is going to get good.
Yeah, so, I think we might have mentioned it, but not as much as...
Not as much as the
other stuff and other times that we've done some stuff. But signed up for a Spartan race, man, a while back.
Yeah. How long ago did you sign up for it?
Like
I want to say it was like
November,
October last year or
yeah,
something
October,
like that.
November last year.
Yeah. Okay.
And so it was like, okay, yeah, man, let's do it. Let's just see what you got.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I have so many like stories.
Oh, there's a lot to it.
To get into, but I don't really know where to start. You know what I mean? So I was just gonna say, hey, I wanted to share my key takeaways.
Okay.
From the race.
Okay.
Yeah. So my meals are real. Meals are real. Like what I mean by that is my nutrition and my hydration was solid, man. Like the way I'm eating, the way I'm doing my meals, is I could really tell the difference. Like while I was racing and how I was showing up. Like it's so
like
really
could you compare it to
tuning into the meals is
like could you compare it to like other times?
Yeah, so even if you say the first one I ever did, like even before the one we did,
because I remember you showed me some photos of it.
I would say I'm stronger now than I was then. Dang. And it's so when you realize that, you could say, okay, my mindset is stronger. Like I'm in a different place in my life mentally.
Yeah.
So you could give that. And it's not to take away from any other experience. It all leads up to this time. But I was stronger this time.
Yeah.
So then I have be the motor of life, right? So my motor was solid. Like what I mean by my motor is like we like to do activities that you have to propel yourself for: kayaking, hiking, biking, rowing, whatever. So it's like, man, my heart, my lung, cardio was solid. It wasn't to be
gassed.
I didn't.
It was like the run parts. I think you're saying was like your break time.
Yeah.
In a way.
It's like, okay, well, we got obstacles. It's like, okay, you make to the point where the obstacle is rest and run is just you got to do the distance, man.
Yeah,
just make the distance. So that's cool, but that's just a little bit of backstory. It's okay, so you're feeling good, you're doing good.
Yeah,
but the part of it now, so it's like, okay, it's a Sunday morning, early morning race time is what I picked. And right before the race starts, it starts raining. Now we're not.
I remember.
We're not talking about.
Because I was looking at the weather.
And I was like, man, and it was not warm at all
No.
either.
So it was like, because we had a break in the cold weather. So then it's like, okay, this race day is looking pretty good.
And then
it's like the cold front comes and it rains. And the percentage is like high. Like 100% chance of rain is going to rain.
Mm-hmm.
But while driving to the race, it was like, nah, it's looking like it's going to work out for me. I get checked in, get Eric to like the spectator pass, and checked in, and like the way the parking was, man, we ended up like it's like a mile away from where you park to get to check in.
Wow.
So then I say I'm tapped in, but I'm like, I feel good now. I wonder how I feel on the walk back. I jokingly told her, say, hey, you might have to come pick me up. Like, you go get the car and pick me up. Just playing.
Oh, man.
But, yeah, so, yeah, man. We're sitting there waiting for our start time. 8:15 start time. Starts raining.
Man.
But I don't know if you've ever been, like, say if you were to go, like, cut the grass or whatever, compared to, like, if you were taking your wife out to dinner.
Yeah.
The thought process is like, okay, you dressed up nice, you're going to dinner, you don't want to kind of be sweaty, wet, rain. It's a different feel. But
yeah,
I've got my old shorts on, my old shoes, old shirt, because there's mud involved in this,
right?
Whether it's raining or not.
Yeah.
So it's like, the rain was just to see how you showed up mentally.
Right.
The cold is okay. You had to have an extra layer on your race, buddy.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So but that's just in getting into the meat of it, because what I really want to get to is 3 points. But the thought process is okay. The first thing that key takeaway from the race, man, is you got to accept help.
Okay.
Yeah. So some of these probably don't really concern about the race. The race just revealed it to be able to be present and say. So of course you can say, okay, well, Lee, what are you talking about? Accept help was a takeaway. Like I knew right when I finished the race, like this point, and this point is a key takeaway. So one of them is accept help. So like we're getting ready to do the stairs of Sparta or the 7-foot wall.
Yeah.
And by this time in the race, me and the guy had kind of formed a bond because we were kind of pacing and staying together. And he was like, man, you need a knee? And I was, part of me was like, the man, like, no, I don't need no knee.
I don't need no knee.
I mean, I wanted to say that. He was like, no, come on, man. Like, I'll help you. You help me.
Right.
Kind of thing,
Right. Yeah.
And it's like the connection was like, where in our life do we need to accept help?
Yeah.
Like, I understand that this is the physical manifestation in the Spartan race, but is there a place in life that someone's saying, hey, let me give you some help?
Right.
Or do you have a mentor that's telling you, like, hey, let me show you. Let me tell you a strategy. Let me just give you a different perspective. So while you're like not willing to take help, there's nowhere in the rules say the person can't help you in the race.
Right.
There's nowhere like you're not less of a man because you had to get help over a thing.
I feel like it gets down to a prideful thing.
Right. And we know pride comes before the fall.
Yeah. It does.
So at what point are we gonna take this to the next level and say, where in our lives can we seek wise counsel? Can we seek some help and accept the help?
Right.
Like that's what I realized on the race, man.
Right.
Whether you need it or not, even if we take it to the next level, like, could I have got over the wall or to the stairway of Sparta without the knee?
Maybe.
We'll never know because I needed to accept the help.
Right.
Be a good receiver. Like, hey, man, I got you. So, but if you think about the totality of the race and what energy needs to be exerted, you didn't have to exert that much energy at that specific time because you had help. So if there was a circumstance or situation that you truly needed your energy, that you exerted it because you want to be like, oh, look at me. And it was like,
you didn't have to.
I put somebody there to help you.
Yeah.
What are you doing? I mean, but really, what does that look like with your movement, with your meals, with your marriage, with your money, with your message,
Everything.
with your meditation, like whatever, with your mindset?
Yeah.
Are you going to accept the help? Or are you going to keep being like, oh, I got it?
Yeah, you better. You
keep doing that.
I mean, it's like that's
Because
the
there's a
reason why people have gone through things, so you don't have to go through them.
Right.
You know.
Right. Period.
I mean, that's really like some of the greatest people's failures is like the biggest thing.
Oh yeah,
for you to
right.
learn from.
They're like, man, the reason why is because I've been there,
right?
I've done it. Like, just.
I mean, it's like it's like parenting kids.
Parenting kids,
and it's like you know pretty much the outcome of the thing. Yeah. But they have to be willing to accept the help. Yeah. And that's the whole that's life in general. Right. Man.
Right. Now there's two obstacles on the race that I did. Now this is really another key. It's just that I wanted to share. The barbed wire crawl and the dunk wall.
What is the dunk wall? The barbed wire crawl, I get that one.
The barbed wire crawl is like, so people was like, oh, you just got to crawl on the barbed wire. Yeah, that's right. But it's like, it's muddy. Like they make it, like they probably pour some dirt and put some water and like rake it out to make sure it's
intentionally water
like
that
you're
thing
going to
down.
Come up.
You're not getting not dirty.
Right. So the only reason why I'm saying that, and this is not a key. This is not a key. Yeah. There's only three real key takeaway, but this is just to add more story to it, you know. It's like, okay, the barbed wire crawl, man, in the mud, and the dunk wall. The dunk wall is literally it's a muddy thing too, and they dig out like maybe 8 feet, and they have a wall, but you have to submerge in the muddy water to go under. That's why it calls dunk wall, because you have to dunk to get.
Oh, you got to go under through it. Yeah.
So you can imagine how getting into the water is if you could just picture that.
You're like, are you crawling?
No, you don't have to crawl there. So these are different.
So it's separate. It's deep enough where you just submerge yourself in it.
Right, like you just slip into the mud, get in,
right,
dunk under, come out, and then you have to get out of the water and on that side in the mud.
Wow.
And then of course the photographer's right there.
They are literally
perfect. This is perfect time for you to.
Yes.
But the only reason why I'm saying that is because it ties into the next key. Those type obstacles are specifically placed to break you mentally. At least that was my experience.
It's not a physical thing, really.
Crawling really is. People can say either way for their personal stuff. That you could really just get through that. But the mud part of it, like, so if we're saying the one I'm doing is a 10K, 25 obstacles, so we're probably at this point, we're probably at least 10, 12 obstacles. So it's kind of like, and I'm doing good. Like I'm clean.
You're clean.
It's raining, but I'm still crisp. You know what I'm saying?
Not dirty. Doesn't have anything on me.
Right.
That'll rub you raw or like anything like that. Nothing.
Shoes and then you hit good.
And it's always about midway.
And then it's like, well, the last half of your race, you're gonna. And now at this point, it's not raining anymore.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. That adds extra layers to it. Right there.
Like, at first you didn't want it to rain. Now you're muddy. You're like,
I needed rain.
But so I'm just sharing that for perspective. Yeah. Because you could be like, man, it's raining. But then when you're muddy, you're like, I could use a rinse off.
Yeah.
I promise you, we found a creek.
I bet you did, man. If you
along the race,
to get that stuff off,
and people were because I don't know if it was it was positioned intentionally, like the way the loop went after the mud stuff. There's a creek, and you should see how many people were like, "Oh,
wash off.
We're getting in the creek. We're not. I'm not finishing this race with this."
Yeah, no.
I got another 3+ miles to be gunked in mud.
Yeah, no,
it's not working.
Especially that stuff getting your shoes on your shoes.
But the next key, man, is there. You know, if you don't do the obstacle, there's penalty.
Yep.
So I kind of named this like key takeaway penalty box.
Penalty box.
So I had to do some penalties, man.
Oh yeah.
This race, I had to. Like, so the thought process, I did so many obstacles, man, that I was like, if anything that had to deal with strength or carrying or pulling or picking up,
that was pretty much handled.
Yeah, no problem. Some of the ones climbing, scaling walls, good. I was good on those too.
Yeah.
Now, when you start saying, okay, we got to swing from monkey bars or the multi-rig or some of that, it's different. I gotta work on that. But that's where it's like it points out, put my movement to the test. Like, okay, well, that's some area of focus.
Area you gotta work on.
So if you go back, what will it be the next time? Will you be able to say like I handled it?
Right.
Like those were a non-issue. The whole race was not an issue.
Right.
But the thought process for the people listening, watching, is even though I had to do some penalties, I still ran the race. So some people might not have went. Some people might not have ran the race. Some people might have been like, "Oh, well, I can't do that. I can't do this."
That's exactly where my mind was going. Like so they don't even want to, even if there's a penalty, you're not willing to try.
So I'm literally saying I was about to say I spent some time in the penalty box.
Yeah.
But we invest.
Yeah.
I invested some time in the penalty box. And the reason why I'm saying invested, because I got a reward for it.
Yep.
And the reward is literally, like I said, even though I had to do some penalties, doesn't mean I wasn't able to run the race and didn't run the race. But then the other side of the invest is when you say, what's your prediction? And people, the jokingly is like pain. And it's like, my prediction was gains, man. We were literally able, because I had to do whatever the penalty was, in the grand scheme of the output of the way this works, you're growing.
Yeah.
You're gaining. At anything, at the lowest level, is like, it puts in a circumstance to say, hey, next race, you don't need to do these penalties, pal. You need to figure this out.
Right.
So then that leads to another side of it. What if with the mud and the dunk wall, and I might be ruining somebody's race, but please don't. You have to have your experience. I'm just telling you my experience. So at this point, I'm like, man, I'm looking around, we're running. I'm like, okay, at this stage of the race, there's some people that looks clean.
No.
And I know, I'm not talking about creek clean. I'm talking like
nothing.
Like you didn't do dunk wall or barbed wire crawl clean.
Yeah.
Like, so what I'm saying is, could you imagine if you just accept the penalty for the barbed wire?
Yeah.
And for the
where it's like you could have done it. Like you could have done it.
I mean, is that a strategy? But and I'm really and please, if the race people are like, there's no way, you gotta do every obstacle. I understand that. I did the obstacles. I promise you I did. And if I didn't do the obstacle to the completion of the way it was designed, I did the penalty.
Right.
So just let's be clear.
Yeah.
But I'm just telling you, in my mind, you have to discern how you want to run your race. I did have this thought to say, if you would have seen how congested the barbed wire crawl is and how much time it took, the way they had the racers funnel into the mud under the barbed wire, I'm telling you, it would have been faster for me to do the penalty and I wouldn't have been dirty.
Yeah, I could see that point. I could see that.
I'm telling you.
I could see
like
it.
They say, oh, do 30 burpees. The amount of time that it would took to do
you probably
the
would have.
barbed wire
You probably
crawl,
would have been halfway through by the time you got.
and
to
I
30
wouldn't have been
burpees
in the
done.
mud doing the burpees.
Yeah,
I'd have been in the grass.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
that's interesting.
But the only reason I'm pointing that out is, how do you plan on? Because I'm telling you, after the barbed wire and the dunk wall, I was like questioning, like, no, really. I'm just being vulnerable to tell you like real thoughts that come in your mind. Like, man, what am I thinking being out here with this, man? Are you kidding? Look at this, man.
Oh my gosh. Like, what did I just get myself into?
Right.
What did I get myself?
So I'm not going for the obstacle race championship or anything.
Right.
So I mean, I would have to see like, okay, what do the people that actually make the podium do? Do they hit the obstacle, or do they crush the run and they crush the pace so much that I'll do the penalty, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
That's
look
interesting.
into it.
I'd like to know how that is.
I wanted to definitely throw it out there because I was like, how much if your clothes are dry and your shoes are dry, how much do you think it affects your run on the rest?
Oh, a whole bunch.
So if you think, even if you say, okay, it was a little bit slower to do the penalty, but then the other
you picked up
12, the other 12 obstacles that you're not soaking wet and muddy and your shoes ain't sloshing.
Yeah.
You tell me.
Yeah.
It's a choice.
It's a totally different dynamic.
It's a possibility.
I mean, it feels like you got like 5 more pounds of weight on your shoes when you get.
But yeah, so the thing is, so even if you say that, like, because people spar and obstacle races, like, oh, that's the mud, that's the barbed wire, that's the, and it's like, so some people talk themselves out of it, and it's like, but you don't have to talk yourself out of it. There's ways around it. Now you got to pay the price.
Yeah,
you got to do what it takes to handle that.
Right.
Sometimes people let this get in the way of what they're capable of. Like, what are you capable of? What obstacles can you do? No matter the amount of penalties, I was able to finish the race.
Right.
I finished the race, man.
You finished the race.
Yeah. So that leads me to the last key, man. The way they had this Spartan stuff set up, man.
I can't believe you did it. I can't believe it.
Why you said that?
Well, no, I can believe it. I can't believe it.
I mean,
but I'm like, after hearing this, I'm like, wow. Okay.
Of course. I mean, so there's several other there's several other obstacles in between the dunk wall, barbed wire stuff. I just like knowing that you do half the race and you're crisp and clean. I mean, I'm wet because it's raining, but not submerged and fully crawling in mud.
Right.
It's like, man. But I rinsed off in the creek, so that was like,
that helped out. That helped out a lot.
Most people did. Some people like just push right on past, but the people that were caked was we were watching off. But right as you jump over the fire, man, finishing the race, this is the next key. They have a section that's roped off, and it's kind of like it wasn't like they were pointing you to it,
but they really wanted to.
But there was a place, and then of course, my wife is standing there like, "Oh, there's an extra mile section." And I'm so just so you know, I'm not saying it for her.
Right.
She knows who I am and how I show up.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like, there's an extra mile? Because honestly, I don't remember that the first time I ever did it. So I don't know if that's something they've added new.
Yeah.
Or I was just
oblivious
last time. But I ended up doing the extra mile, man. Running the extra, well, I didn't run. I ended up walking the extra mile, man.
Yeah.
Just to be able to solidify, like, you thought it was 10K, 25 obstacles. They offered you extra mile.
And you took it?
And you see how I said they offered.
Yeah. Didn't have to.
There was no, like, people went right past and got their shirt, T-shirt, got their medal. Oh yeah, we did it. Wonderful. Take a picture.
Went the extra mile, man.
But I'm over here doing the extra mile.
Extra mile.
Because if people don't understand that, I'll say it real quick. Where in life do you need to go the extra mile?
Yeah.
And in my mind, it's everywhere.
Everything.
It's everywhere.
Everything. Man.
Are you willing to go the extra mile?
Yeah.
So if you think about it, and the way my mind processes, I'm like, it's about a mile from the car that we walked to the. Then I did the 10K.
Yep.
Then I did the extra mile. Then I walked back the 10 mile, the extra, that mile that we still had to get back to the car.
Yeah.
I ended up doing like 10 miles probably.
Easy.
Don't add the little penalty extra. Some of the penalties that they had to you had to add extra distance to the race. Depending on what the penalty was. So if you're thinking like, man, well you went from 6 to 10 and you were strong and then.
Yeah.
But how many people might not have did the extra mile?
Oh, there's
Would you have done it?
Oh, I would have done it.
You would have.
I can't. Yeah, it's just like. I can't picture me not doing the
extra mile. And the way they
when
had
it
was
says, did it say extra mile?
It said extra.
See, that's another level to it, man. It's like going the extra mile.
Are you gonna go the extra mile?
Like that's like a mindset thing. It's like.
But what does it do?
Man.
What does it do to the same way, the psychology of the mud that I'm telling you about?
Yeah.
And the dunk wall, the barbed wire crawl in the mud is like, okay. So then that's midway, but at the finish, what does it do to your psychology, your mentality, if you actually go the extra mile? Even if you're broken. I wasn't broken, thankfully.
Right.
But even if you're broken, like you are gassed, you are tired, you are aching, you are still muddy because you weren't willing to get in the creek. I don't know, whatever. Yeah. But then you go the extra mile. Under all the circumstance, you're able to go the extra mile. What does that do to yourself? What does that do to your being, to your essence, to be like?
It's huge, man.
I thought I was just signing up for a 10K.
Right.
And it's like, well, you did extra mile. I mean,
right.
And you might think, you think the extra mile ain't nothing. Okay. Go
through all of that.
Go do the race. Go do the race. And then say, hey.
I'm going to go extra mile. I feel like I can do it. I feel good.
Right. That's so that, in us talking and us, it seems so like, oh, of course I'm doing the extra mile. But you have to be able to say, okay, you've done 25 obstacles and you did a distance of 6 point whatever mile, 2 miles, 6.4 miles minimum, not counting some of the extra stuff they do to break you. Let's just be real. So okay, are they gonna they gonna finish or are they gonna walk out of here?
That's what it's for.
And yeah, man. Went the extra mile. But that's the challenge for people. Go the extra mile in your life, man.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about signing up for some more, man.
I know, man. After you showed me the medal, I was like,
I might have got the bug, man. I might be. I'm in there now, man.
Yeah, that
obstacle racer.
It's a different deal when you deal with obstacle racing. I mean, I think you talked about like doing the triathlon stuff, like thinking about that.
Like really just
the level of that stuff.
Yeah, just taking it to some
there's something about physically pushing yourself that changes your mentality. Like it really does change your mentality.
Yeah.
And like I know because you were training for it.
Yeah.
Like I could see it. Like you were training for it, and I was like, yeah.
But I like, and that's what's so good, and it's just I'm really because Eric was like, oh yeah, now that the races, you still gonna be going to the gym like you play that?
I was going to ask you.
I'm training for life. Like it's really I've switched to switch, man. Like meals, I've said meals are my thing. Meals are real.
Yeah.
I say movements.
I feel like you're really solid on the meal side.
I think I say movements my thing.
Yeah.
So now it's not to come from a place of vanity, like, oh, well, look at me. Because that's not what I'm going for. But the thought process, you know, if you've seen somebody that's like, oh, they're fit. Mm-hmm. Like you can just tell it like, oh, they got some fitness going on.
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So that's the lane that I'm coming from. That's the circumstance that I'm coming from. To be like, if I say like, oh, well, I like to paddleboard, or I like to mountain bike, or I like to kayak, or I like to hike, or whatever.
Yeah.
How much more enjoyable will those be? Is like, okay, let's go on a 6 mile hike. And it's like, 6 mile hike, that's
yeah.
like, you just randomly like, oh, let's go out and bang a 6 mile hike out. It's like,
yeah. Not a lot of people would be like, oh yeah, let's go.
There's a trail. There's a trail we're going. It's 8 miles. Like, oh no, man, we're not gonna make that hike. But it's like the views and the thing, and it's like you have to plan a whole like weekend. It's like, no, that's a couple hour thing. Go make it happen.
Man, there was a guy at church with the men's group, older guy.
Yeah.
And he went up North Georgia, did some hikes. It's a biking trail up there. I forgot where it was.
Yeah.
But he said, because one of the things was like getting your movement, getting your exercise in. He's like, well, I'm going to get mine in for this week. And he said, we're doing 30 miles. 30 miles one day.
One day, man.
Knocked it out. I was like, man.
Yeah. Like, what do you, I mean, we're able to do it. Our body is physically made to be able to do this
right.
stuff. So it's just, where do you have to be? And it can't be like, oh, you could say couch to 30 mile hike. You could say that.
You could say that.
What that looks like. But there's a process. I don't think he went. But there's some people, I know some people that went from 0 to 100 miles. Like, okay, what's wrong with you? But the person and where he was at in his life and some of the exposure that he's already had with physical fitness is a different thing. Yeah. But I just want to be able to be in integrity, say like, well, you say meals are one of the 8 M's of Magnificent Living. Are they solid? Right. And my solid is, are they fueling you to be your best? Right. And then with the movement pieces, like, if we wanted to go on a little leisurely hike, it's leisurely. Mm-hmm. But for someone else, it's breaking them. Right. They're like, this is leisure. Mm-hmm. Like, we're just walking in the park. What are we doing? Why do you look like that? And I'm not saying that I've ever been that person. Yeah. Because my mindset and my will. But I'm telling you that with the physical side of it, it's going to be incongruent. Yeah. To be like, oh yeah, he works out. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying. So yeah, man. Oh man. That's the race, man. That's the takeaways, man. Like, so just to recap the takeaways, and then we'll get off here, man. Accept help, what that looks like. Mm-hmm. Even though you might be investing time in the penalty box, you still ran the race. Still ran the race. And through it all, man, you'll have the opportunity to go the extra mile. Oh, yeah. I like that. I said you have the opportunity. You have the opportunity. And I took it, man. So that's how this is, man. Spartan race, super, 10K, 25 obstacles. I didn't let the mud break me. Nope. Or the rain. Dunk. Yes, sir. Nope. Till next time.
This is your co-host here, Braxton Matson, and Lee and I just want to say thank you so much for tuning into this episode. We hope you've enjoyed it just as much as we did making it, but we couldn't do it without you. So please hit that like button, leave us a rating, leave us a review. Let us know what topic or subject that you would like us to talk about in your journey from mediocre to magnificent. But most of all, share it. Be the ripple effect of magnificence and know that you are magnificent in everything you do. Till next time.